Wow, what an amazing view to stand up here and see 300 other businesses that go through the same journeys as I guess we do. It's a real honour to stand up here this morning and represent one of the businesses of the Sunshine Coast. I arrived in this country aged 18 years old. We left war-torn Africa and arrived in this country with absolutely nothing. My parents were working in fairly ordinary jobs. My mum was a teacher for many years at the Nambour Christian College, and my father was a horticulturalist here on the coast. And I went through my last year of school at Emmanuel College and didn't know really what I wanted to do, so I did an apprenticeship and a TAFE course and a few basic bits and pieces, and I worked with my hands, the only thing I really knew that I could do. It's funny how the Sunshine Coast is actually much more of a growth bed than most people even realise. I started out and I was coming here this morning. I drove up from Brisbane and I fought the highway, and as I pulled up over the Alex Headlands bluff there and brushing off a few crumbs from a meat pie that I had and looking at that view with the sun rising over the coast, I just suddenly realised how blessed we are to live right here on the Sunshine Coast. The other thing I sort of wanted to try to really give you a little bit of an insight into is how hard and how complicated it actually is to drive and grow a business on the Sunshine Coast, and highlight to you just how much support that you other business people have actually got here that you might not even know about. I looked up and I started to have a look at some of the sponsors and some of the support groups, and I will come to that in a second. Because I think it's really important that you recognise that we're not alone, and sometimes our journey on through business, you can feel quite alone as you actually have to push through some of the barriers and fight those battles and find money and battle with banks and justify yourself through every step. 2017 was a tumultuous year. 2018 is also a tumultuous year. Who said business was going to be easy? Who signed up for this, asks every business person at some stage. Resilience and learning is what makes success and business growth happen. Whilst I was on that hill this morning looking out over the ocean to Alex Headlands brushing my pie crumbs off, I was also on the phone to my son Lockie Smart, who many of you may remember from 2 years ago when he ventured off from the Sunshine Coast here in a tiny little aeroplane and flew around the world and set the world record as the youngest person to ever fly around the world solo. Last 2 weeks ago, Lockie moved over to the United States and is now living in Nashville, Tennessee, listening to country music and waving his arms on behalf of youth of Australia. And he's doing really well now, adopted into one of the national big speaking programs, developing youth and connecting youth into business around the world with some of the biggest speaking agencies in the world. But he didn't get there by himself, and this is my point. The Sunshine Coast fostered him and has fostered my business in ways that are really difficult to even explain. When a young guy comes and goes, "Hey, I'm 15, can I borrow your $2 million aeroplane to fly around the world?" It's a big question. He started going around asking for sponsors and for looking for support and mentoring. And I sort of said to him, "Look, well done, son. Every teenager has a dream. Come back and see me when you're serious." He did. He came back and he had a lineup of people at the Sunshine Coast Airport. And I just looked at this lineup of executives, business mentors, media people, and I said, "How did you do this?" And he said, "I asked." I think the point is that you have to know what you want in life. You have to know that you can do this and that there are some amazing people around you to support you. Just have a look in this room and realise that you're not alone. Sometimes you have to ask, and sometimes you have to step out and put yourself out there and feel exposed and say, "I need some help." As I went through, I wanted to try to highlight a little bit about our business. I've got 26 staff now, and it hasn't been a very comfortable journey at times. We've nearly gone bust a couple of times, and we've pushed on through with some good support and some good mentoring. We've now got a multinational company distributing our product through 53 countries around the world, of which we've got some proper traction into about 28. And I'd like to sort of now also try to tie in what these business awards and what the support of the network of the Sunshine Coast actually means to being able to develop a business. I remember sitting at Twin Waters last year at the awards with my team, looking around this room, and the chatter and the excitement amongst my staff of actually being recognised for the hard work that they've done. They've pushed above and beyond, and they're a team that plays together, stays together, and they've been led by, you know, the good leadership that I've tried to develop in our team. Ross Norman was my general manager at the Business Awards. He was nominated in as one of the managers of the year. He didn't win, but the encouragement was fantastic, and he got the recognition that he well deserved. We were very fortunate to be nominated and mentored through, and we won the Building and Manufacturing or Building and Development category award, and that was an amazing journey. I think we've also now put that logo and that a Winners Award logo up in our office. We stick it on the footer of our emails, and we put that and associate that with our brand and success. I think that the awards have added credibility and brand confidence around us to deal with the size and the scale of our business and to show us as something different compared to the David and Goliath of the medical industry that we serve. We are only a very tiny company. In fact, I was down in Sydney a week ago, standing with an operating theatre manager and talking about our business, and she goes, "How many staff have you got?" I said, 26. She goes, I said, "How many staff have you got?" She said, 160. That's one manager in one hospital that we serve of 500 hospitals around Australia and now many hospitals in the world. And it just makes me realise how small but how big we can be at the same time. I'd like to talk about support for the business, because like I said before, sometimes it can feel lonely, and the outside world sees our glossy brochures and marketing campaigns, but they forget about the real grit, the day-to-day, biding your time, fighting for your cash flow and managing the different tasks that you've actually got to do. I'd like to try and just go through some of the actual support journey that I've run on through the development of Smartline, and recognise a few of the support structures that you other businesses can tap into to help your business grow as well. This is not about me, but about the credibility of the Sunshine Coast and the support networks that are actually here that you can tap into, that you might have sat next to these people and not even realise what they've actually got to offer to help you take some practical steps to build your business. On the Sunshine Coast, we've worked in with people like Ross Tilley at Trade Investment Queensland and TradeStart, your Austrade type contact. Ross builds networks through council and through local support and towards introducing you to the right and like-minded people. He introduced us to a trade ambassador in Dubai. We rocked up at a bit of a trade show. We were welcomed in. We didn't feel like we were alone in that huge Arab Health conference. And we got networked to some amazing people. One phone call to Ross Tilley. Wow, that's right here from the Sunshine Coast. The next thing is people like Scott Bruce. Scott's worked tirelessly on the Sunshine Coast here, developing and marketing some of the events and the different things that the Sunshine Coast and Noosa councils actually deliver to us and help us grow. We've done courses around things like export awards, export networking, export training functions. These courses give you thousands of dollars worth of printed materials. You get lectured to by industry leaders from all around the world, and they're free. If I bought that material that I'd got from some of those support networks, that are offered to us on the Sunshine Coast, I would have spent tens of thousands of dollars on consultants. But we've just progressively picked away at some of these courses and been participant in what's actually offered to us in this amazing growth bed of community that we've got right here on the Sunshine Coast. Research and development funding and actually reaching out to some of the funds and growth bed that is available through our local and state and federal government projects is another area that has been one of the key strings in our bow to being able to move our little team forward and develop some quite good technology which is now leading the world in areas of infection control and storage of medical endoscopes. We've managed to tap into growth funding like AMGC, Australian Market Growth Centre, managed by Mark Peters here in Queensland. Mark Peters has done a number of consultancy roles, including the food and beverage development of the Sunshine Coast. He's a wealth of knowledge, and he actually helped us prepare our business applications and get over $150,000 worth of matched funding to develop some of our technology. And that's here on the Sunshine Coast. We're just a normal business like you guys are, putting our hand up going, if we can show that we're doing all right, will you support us? And they're saying yes. That's just fantastic. The other thing is that we've worked through is the export marketing development grants. That's helped us actually fly around the world and go and try and make some of these contacts to develop our exports. To give you an idea of the commitment this sort of takes, on the 2nd of December last year, I hopped on an aeroplane, and by the 28th of January, I was on my 48th flight around the world. And some of those were into and outside of time zones, battling Dubai and Canada and America and France and Bulgaria and all sorts of interesting places as we tried to find some contacts and build this little network. And it's working. Without this funding, I couldn't have had a crack at it, and it's working. We're now invited to go and present to the FDA in America with some of our technology. We're working with the infection control standards of Canada. We're working with the infection control standards of Australia, and that's with my little staff of 26 people that are working their guts out to do something. There are a lot more other business support networks on the coast. I just want to quickly touch on a couple. We can't grow a team of amazing staff that are smarter than me. I've got my weaknesses and my limitations like every one of you do. You've got to surround yourself with people that are better than you at things. How do you find those people? Well, I just want to mention there are a couple of great recruitment agencies. Can you afford a recruitment agency? My question is, can you afford not to work with a recruitment agency? There are people like Michelle Faulkner from East Coast, Sally Desch from HRM. These people have helped me hire, fire, choose and build a team that does something. Because I'm not great at building a team, but working with people that are great at building a team gives you that support and that you're not on your own anymore. And I think that's the hardest thing. I think many people will agree the hardest thing is being on your own, and you're not. On the coast, you're not. Then there are the banks, those mongrel banks, the lenders, the sharks, the vultures waiting and watching for everything that you do. Well, we don't see it that way. I can tell you that one of the things that is important in building your bank, your business, is your integrity, your open book policies, following business by the book, not breaking the rules, open, transparent, and really quite vulnerable. I think that these are the things that make a difference. We've had an amazing, supportive relationship with ANZ. They're one of the sponsors here tonight, and I can honestly say that we couldn't have grown without their support and mentoring. They've found creative ways to support us, and sometimes I think if you're open and honest with where you're at with your bank, you'll find that they're much more supportive than the mongrels that you think they are. Australian-made campaign. I am so proud of being an Australian. I've got a son that's barracking for Australia around the world, and I believe in the Australian-made campaign. We signed up and we've now got most of our products registered as Australian made, and that's a big logo. We're proudly flying onto everything that we export around the world, and for us this is it's a big thing. We're also taking steps into technology now, barcoding and aligning with the GS1 barcoding. That means that all our products are internationally searchable, trackable in their freight, and have a lot more visibility. It's a big commitment for a little business that's trying to grow, but we're trying to put those foundations for success into what we do. I want to encourage you other businesses to take the risk. It's scary. Honestly, it's really scary. We've had a really rough time in the last couple of months just trying to get growth funding and move our own business forward. We've sunk an enormous amount of money into research development to keep up with the timelines that we have to get these products into particularly the American market. And it's a big pain point for us. It's a reality. But guess what? We can do it, and we've got great support. And I encourage you guys to do it too, because you've got the ability to grow your business with the support network here that's much more than what you realize. Tap into it and look and learn. You'll be absolutely amazed. Finally, I just want to mention the judges and the people that actually put these awards and stuff together, because this isn't about recognition of us, me, the category winner for one area in the business, my team around me, but it's also a great way of demonstrating that you guys can have a crack at it too, because I tell you, it feels really good being up here. It does. It feels great to see 300 people celebrating business. Robin Pullman, a motivational speaker, leadership expert. Bruce Williams, a business mentor and coach and a real people person. Bill from Rumba, Tourism Sunshine Coast. These names have popped up again and again, and you're going to hear them pop up again and again. They helped Lockie on his world trip. They've been there as a bouncing and mentoring point for me and continue to do so. Sunshine Coast Awards, the banking, the Chamber Network, the Chamber Sunshine Coast Chamber Alliance. I'll take your lead on that. These guys have got a lot of influence. They can help you understand where to look for money, help you when you're having one of those staff hiccups. Hiring and firing is scary these days, and there is great help around to build that team that you want. So I guess my summary is, we live in paradise. Do what I did and sit up on that Sunshine Coast, Alex Headland's hill, and look out over that ocean, pinch yourself and realise that we've got it pretty great on the Sunshine Coast. Have a crack at it, stay together, enjoy the support networks, and thank you for your vote of confidence in our business.